Welcome to the Convenient Commander Podcast, where we help to make cEDH convenient for everyone. I'm your host, Mason.
And I'm your host, Jared, a.k.a. JB Gardner. Coming up on the show today, we've got an Outlaws of Thunder Junction set review. It's not really a set review. It's more like we're just talking about some cool cards we found, right?
Yeah, it's more like we're looking at the cards that could be potentially seen in cEDH and what decks might want them and what archetypes might want them.
Yeah, and in honor of Outlaws of Thunder Junction, we're drinking this beautiful rye whiskey today.
Yep.
Because that's what, you drink in the West, I guess, when it's particularly wild.
Partner.
So I've been told.
All right, well, let's get into looking at some of these cards. So we're going to go by color, and then within the color, we're going to go ramping up from common to uncommon to rare to mythic.
Yeah, just like a pack, right?
Yeah, just like a pack. So we're going to work through these packs that we've created.
Heck yeah. So what does our white pack look like?
Like Jumpstart, right? Because Jumpstart goes by the colors. All right. So the first card we're going to look at is Bovine Intervention. Bovine Intervention is 1 and a white for an instant that says destroy a target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 2/2 white ox creature token. So white removal spell for 2 mana. 2 mana is kind of like it's not the best because you have 1 mana removal spells, but you're gonna see play in like low 1-2 color decks. I think are gonna want this. The fact that it can destroy an artifact is pretty good.
Yeah, artifact or creature. So right now I look at this and I'm thinking of the one that gives Get Lost. But Get Lost is gonna be enchantment or creature, right?
Get Lost?
Yeah, because White's been getting a big boost lately, I feel like, with the sets coming out, like with these 2 mana removal spells. 2 mana flexible removal spells with minimal downside. I mean, we had, what was it, like Stroke of Midnight recently, too?
Stroke of Midnight was like another generous gift.
Yeah.
Bowman Intervention, 1 land or less, but you hit only artifacts or creatures. I think it's pretty all right. You're going to see it in these, I think you're going to see it in these white lists without black. So Azorius is probably going to want this.
Really? I guess... We're whitelist without red, because maybe...
Without red, you think?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, why would you want to destroy an artifact or creature rather than enchantment or creature? So I think we really need to be talking about why we would run this and what list would run this over Get Lost. Because this looks like just a swap for Get Lost, no?
I kind of want to double check that you want to grab the...
Yeah. So Get Lost, let's check it out.
Get Lost. Wow, it's going for $9. Oh, that's just the special. It's artifact. Okay, it's destroy target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker.
Planeswalker too.
It gives them 2 map tokens, which is somewhat kind of card advantage.
Can fuel a dockside.
Can fuel a dockside, but
can fuel my own dockside.
Yeah, if you get lost, then you can fuel their dockside. I don't know. I think Bovine Intervention is giving them a 2/2 basically does nothing. But destroying an artifact or creature. Yeah, I guess it really depends on what decks you're looking at that want to destroy artifacts over enchantments or planeswalkers.
Yeah, what do you think should run this card over those other options?
I genuinely think it's like a 2-color white deck or even mono white probably runs this. 2-color white decks that is sans black, maybe sans red as well. I think green,
because red can deal with artifacts
green
easily.
Needs it. I think Selesnya needs it because Selesnya doesn't have a lot of ways of removing creatures.
That's true.
They have a lot of ways of removing artifacts, and so this just doubles up on that effect, but removing creatures is what you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Orzhov list might like it, because black doesn't really destroy artifacts, right?
Yeah, you're right, actually. I'm thinking Orzhov list wouldn't want it because destroy a creature for 2 mana is like something black just innately does.
But it hits artifacts too, which might be important.
Yeah.
Oh, who knows?
Let's
pretty cool.
Let's look at this next card here.
Sure.
We've got... you want to read it out?
Yeah, so we got Requisition Raid. It's going to be one of the spree spells. We're going to see a lot of these. This one's a sorcery, right? So you're adding the cost to it, but it doesn't actually change the mana value of the spell. So if you pay more for this one, which is Requisition Raid is 1 white, it doesn't matter how many of these spree modes you're choosing, someone can still mental misstep, and that's true of a lot of these spree spells. So even though it is modal, you got to kind of be careful with how you use it. This one specifically, right? This one specifically, though, is going to be 1 white for a sorcery with spree. And you can do +1, pay an extra generic to destroy target artifact, extra 1 generic to destroy target enchantment, or an extra 1 generic to put a +1 counter on each creature target player controls.
So I like that. I mean, as a sorcery, I thought about it this way. You've got if you were just to do the first 2 modes, you pay 1 white and then 2 generic. You get to destroy an artifact and an enchantment, and it's kind of like White's Rex Age, but you don't get a body.
Oh yeah, okay. Kind of like White's Rex Age, but you don't get a.
But you double up, so you get to hit an artifact and an enchantment, which could be relevant.
Could be. I think my only thing with it is that Rex Sage is a creature. Creatures are in general harder to counter.
Yeah.
This is easy to counter, and it can also be mentaled, and it's not an instant. So I don't know necessarily what wants this card. Maybe is this an Elevere card because it gives the +1/+1 counters too? Is this something Elevere might want?
Yeah, I think this is an Elevere card. Selesnya stacks. Maybe Sithis wants this.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time Sithis has protection for their own enchantment, so it's not like it's going to get swatted.
Something to look at for sure.
Yeah, definitely. This third card, I know you were excited about this
one. I
one.
was so hyped about this card.
This card is sick. This is one of the best cards to come out of this set, if not the best.
Yeah. So this is Aven Interrupter. I saw this card really early on, and I was really excited. For those of you who don't know, I'm brewing a Rafine list with my friend Dave. You can check out our gameplay episode coming out after this, a few days after this episode, where we are going to be doing some gameplay, and one of our buddies, Tyler, is on the list. And I saw this card, and I was like, we need to run it in this list. Because not only is it a creature stacks piece, but it also counters a spell. Let's talk about what it does. It's 1 and 2 white for a bird rogue. It's got flash, so there we go, and flying, which is important for Rafine to get those connive triggers.
Also important for Tymna.
Yeah, that's true. And when it enters, you're going to exile target spell, and it becomes plotted. And then spells your opponents cast from graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast. Now, you were really excited about the set and kind of like the Western themes here. So you want to say what plotted is? Because that's kind of a weird.
Yeah, so plotted is their new mechanic. So to plot something, generally what it is, and even Interrupter makes something plotted. There are a few cards that make things plotted, but generally what it is cards will have an alternate cost that say plot, I don't know, like 3 and a blue or something. And for that, what you do is you pay the plot cost, you put it into exile, and then in a later turn, you can cast it at sorcery speed for free. So,
on a later turn.
The what?
On a later turn.
Yeah, on a later turn, you can cast it for free.
Okay.
So, even Interrupter exiling a spell and making it plotted means that they are forced to not cast it until they have priority on their turn for sorcery speed. And it also adds that tax. So they have to pay 2 to cast it even.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, if you did this on a counter spell, that counter spell is just dead. They just don't get it back.
Yeah, you just straight up get it. But the issue I'm starting to see with it is I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a 2/2 flyers, which is what you want, but at its base level, it's a cancel. It's 1 white to counter something. Right,
and it also has a body, which means it's harder to counter than a cancel. Yeah. And if you also have another stacks piece out there, like a Duranith or something, you just don't get to cast the card again, right?
Yeah.
Because that how plotted works? Yeah. Okay. That is really cool. I really want to run that in Rafine because a counter spell that also doubles as a Rafine conniver just seems really, really good.
I mean, if you're already in blue, I think even Interrupter is great for non-blue-white decks. I think that's where it's going to really shine.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing, too, is it's also a stacks piece, too. Like, it does have that text that kills breach lines, like, you can't cast things from graveyards or from exile.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And I think the from exile is particularly relevant because
of the plot cards?
Well, not just because of the plot cards. I mean, because of Beseech the Mirror. So now they have to pay
Food Chain.
Food Chain, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Food Chain's the big one.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even think. I didn't even think about Food Chain. Yeah, that's really good.
That's really Interrupter. Pretty good.
Especially since the Master is now becoming a Food Chain deck that's being brewed a lot.
People are brewing the Master as Food Chain.
Yes, it's the new Sultai Food Chain.
The Master is Sultai? Oh.
Yeah, the new Master Transcendent card.
Okay, it's Fallout. I'm thinking of the Doctor Who Master.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
okay. Yeah. What do you say, the Master?
Yeah, Food Chain might be coming, making a comeback here soon. We'll see.
I think this one I just wanted to mention. I don't think we really need to go over more of it, but it's 2 and a white. It's Claim Jumper. So it's 2 and a white for a Rabbit Mercenary, a 3/3 Rabbit Mercenary with Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a Plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Then if an opponent controls more lands than you, repeat this process once. If you search your library this way, shuffle. So the way I'm looking at it is this is probably mono white or really low cost, really low color decks coming out, and you can grab 2 lands if you're falling behind in the game. The notable thing about this is that it grabs planes, not basic planes, so you can grab duels off of this. And that's the reason I wanted to mention this. It's just because you can grab duels.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's relevant to get you out of a spot where you're getting mana screwed, because you can go land crypt this.
Yeah. As long as you're not going first.
That's true.
Someone else ramped already, or you're behind.
Yeah, it still gives you 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems kind of interesting and niche. Definitely good for casual or high power casual for sure.
Oh, for sure. Oh, this one's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna?
I can talk about this one because this actually is inspiring me to build a Mardu Stacks commander. That'll be coming up a little bit later in this list that I saw.
Mardu Stacks. Okay.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I wasn't super excited for this set at first. When I first saw it, I was like, a lot of these cards seem kind of niche. I mean, aside from the Aven Interrupter, I wasn't particularly interested. And then I saw this card, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So this is High Noon. This is 1 and a white for an enchantment. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. So it's a Rule of Law effect. The exact same text of Rule of Law, except it gives an activated ability to that Rule of Law, which says costs 4 and a black, and you can sacrifice it to deal 4 and a red. I wish it were black. Oh my gosh, if it were black, holy crap, that'd be so good. Oh, yeah. So 4 and a red, you can sacrifice it, and it deals 5 damage to any target.
Hit anything for 5.
Anything for.
I thought it was creatures.
Yeah. So
anything for 5.
So the crazy thing about this is not only is it a cheaper Rule of Law, not only that, but it also can get rid of itself, so you can break parity on it. So it's a stacks piece at a higher rate than the normal one, and it has a way to break parity baked in.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good Rule of Law, I think. It's cheaper, and you can sack it later on, so that way you can pop off on your turn, do things you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. The only downside is it's not 4 and a black, so sorry, Tayam players, but
yeah, Tayam really wishes it had this.
but it's cool that, I mean, Boros stacks, Mardu stacks, maybe we'll see.
I think Mardu stacks uses this, yeah.
if a deck like that exists, if the deck I'm coming up with has some legs, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Now this next card I've been excited about. Mm-hmm. It is Final Showdown. It is a instant with Spree for 1 white. Can get mentaled, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But it's an instant that says it's 1 white. You can add 1 generic mana. All creatures lose all abilities until end of turn. Add 1 mana. Choose a creature you control. It gains indestructible until end of turn. And then add 3 and 2 white. Destroy all creatures. So, at the baseline with just the first ability, this is a dress down in white.
That's gas.
I think it's pretty gas.
I think that's super good. Like, if you don't have access to blue, having access to this effect is really, really good, and it can protect.
Especially if you're a hate bear stacks deck. Mm-hmm. Turn off your own stuff, and then you can win.
Oh yeah, that's true. It protects one of your things too.
Protects one of your things, and then at the base, if you've got a super grindy game, you're the one getting stacked out, and you have this in hand. You're like, oh well, I have the mana. Guess I'll destroy all creatures.
Yeah.
Having that ability, it's shown like Cyclonic Rift is huge because it has the ability to wipe the board.
Asymmetrically, and this isn't
asymmetrically. This isn't asymmetrically, but the fact that it gives you that option, I think.
Well, you know what? It's not asymmetrical, but how much? So, it's an instant too, which is also something I didn't realize. Whoa, that's really good. Also,
instant speed wipe.
Instant speed wipe, but also, isn't Cyclonic Rift 7 mana to do its effect?
Yeah.
So if you put 7 into this, it's almost asymmetrical in that way. Because you get to wipe all the creatures, but you can choose. Oh, well, you can't pay the same cost more than once, right?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no. So, but yeah, if you put 7 into this, then you give something of yours indestructible and destroy all creatures.
Does Murderbird want this card?
Oh, giving Ishai indestructible and then wiping everything else? That actually... You play Murderbird. I don't know how many creatures does the deck really run.
Well, I mean, it runs Ishai, and the only other creatures it runs are when it's about to go off. I think the issue is people are usually pathing or exiling Ishai, so giving it indestructible is not super relevant. Like, people are, trying to get rid of it there. Yeah. You're not bolting Ishai. Maybe it doesn't work then.
Maybe.
Because I get to run Dress. Yeah.
Final Showdown, like, all these spree cards are low cost initially, which means ad-nause decks are going to probably want some of these spree cards.
That is true.
Because it doesn't affect your life total when you're ad-nausing.
Interesting. Definitely something to think about. I think this card is going to see some play for sure.
Oh, for
in
sure.
in cEDH and for casual too. And it's already going for $15. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
there's a mythic from the set.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift on over to blue.
Shift on over to blue.
Yes.
What's the first card's name?
Well, the first card that we're gonna be looking at is Shifting Grift.
Shifting Grift.
Yeah, we got grifters in the Wild West. So Shifting Grift is 2 blue for a sorcery with spree. That has add 2 generic, exchange control of 2 target creatures. Add 1 generic, exchange control of 2 target artifacts, or add 1 generic, exchange control of 2 target enchantments.
Yes.
I think this card is gas.
Yes, it is. I'm
You
with
agree?
it.
You agree?
I think this card is cool in the right shells. Okay, I don't think
For
it's
sure.
great if you in black or.
I think
in
it is
green.
where the home is for this.
Oh yes.
Is it already has payoffs for casting instants and sorceries. This one, so you have 3 mana, you can swap 2 enchantments. 3 mana, you swap 2 artifacts. 4 mana, you do both. Or 4 mana, exchange control 2 creatures.
Dude, this is 1
Or
and
6
2
mana,
blue.
you do all of it.
6 mana, you do all of it. But I wouldn't think I'd ever do that. I think what I would do though, for sure, is the exchange 2 target artifacts. Yeah, you could have this. Have this Mox Diamond give me the 1 ring.
Yes. Or,
so,
see, what I was thinking of is 3 mana, if you're on like those Wild Growth Utopia Sprawls. 3 mana, here's a Wild Growth, I'll take your Ristic
Study. Oh, maybe this is in Simic?
It might be. It might have a home in Simic then, because you have a lot of more enchantments in green that you're going to be running.
Yeah, and it's not like green can exile the 1 ring, can it? Oh,
No.
we got Haywire Might, right? Like
Yeah.
that, outside of that. But I mean, would you rather run a Haywire Might or would you rather just take their one?
Their one.
Just take it, bro. Yeah.
I
don't
think
know.
it's cool. I mean, the issue that I'm seeing with this though is that Steel Enchantment is not being played as much, and this falls into that same category, I think.
Well, Steel Enchantment isn't being run because what the enchantments we run at least in cEDH, we don't want to exchange control of those because our enchantments are Mystic Remora, Ristic Study. We rarely have.
Think about that though. You go turn 1 Mystic Remora, drop some rocks. Turn 2, I'll pay for it. Oh, someone played a Ristic Study. Have my Ristic Remora, you can pay upkeep costs. I'm taking your Ristic.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, right? But outside of that 1 enchantment, I don't think anybody's switching enchantments. But the fact that it can exchange control of 2 artifacts,
yes,
that's important because we play a lot of rocks. We're playing cheap stuff, and the 1 ring is definitely a card, and there are other good artifacts too, besides the 1 ring.
Or if
that
you
maybe you want.
dockside and then you're like, you have a treasure, I'll take your Soul Ring or something like that. Like,
yeah.
if you're not winning off that dockside.
I definitely think this is an interesting card, and it's one that I think will may see some play in some weird control
Yeah.
shells. Maybe we'll see.
The name of this card. So what's this one?
This one is called "This Town Ain't Big Enough for the 2 of Us." I wish it had that last part. It doesn't.
Yeah.
you gotta channel the Ford F-150 voice for that card.
This card is what it feels like to drive an F-150.
Not a sponsor. But anyways, This Town Ain't Big Enough is 4 and a blue for an instant, but you're not going to be paying that because it costs 3 less to cast if it targets a permanent you control. Not a creature, a permanent.
Yep.
Right? So that might be relevant there. And it says return up to 2 target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. I really like this card.
I think it's great.
I think it's cool too because it protects one of your things at worst, bounces another person's thing because it just can.
Yeah.
At best, you're getting an extra dockside and bouncing a stacks piece.
You bounce your dockside, you bounce their stacks piece, you bounce your Imp Recruiter, your Spellseeker, any good ETB. You could bounce your Mana Crypt for extra mana. Like if you're trying to pop off, you have a Hullbreaker Horror or something. You bounce. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that you can do
For 1 and a blue.
Because it 1 and a blue, and it bounces 2 non-land permanents as long as one of those is yours.
Which it mostly will be, right?
But unless you're running like a heavy storm list that has a bunch of reducers and stuff, then you could cast this and return 2 things that aren't yours. But 99% of the time, I think you're going to be bouncing something of yours and something of your opponent's.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. This town ain't big enough. Let's go on to the next one. We got, so we have Archmage's Newt. It is 1 and a blue for a creature, Salamander Mount. It's a 2/2. Mounts are new creatures. I want to say they work similar to vehicles, where, well, since they're creatures, they can attack anyways. But if you saddle them, you get an extra ability.
But yeah, and also you can only saddle as a sorcery.
And you can only saddle as a sorcery. So it's not innately like vehicles where you can accrue instant speed.
Right.
So Archmage's Newt. When an Archmage's Newt deals combat damage to a player, target instant or sorcery a card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. That card gains flashback 0 until end of turn. Instead, if Archmage's Newt is saddled. So
I didn't see this card.
You didn't?
I didn't see this card. I think that's what it's like to drive the new Ford F-150, and this is the F-150. By the way,
this is the Archmage's Newt is the F-150.
Yeah, because it's gas. It's like
you hit and you get a Snapcaster Mage, and then if you have it saddled for just 3 power, then you get a free flashback of anything.
Oh, is it possible to entomb Peer into the Abyss or Nas and just do that?
And then just Nas?
And then just Nas or Peer?
If you're in a Dimir list that has a commander that has more than 3 power, maybe Tasigur wants this.
Oh, that would be so
you can Tasigur saddle this Archmage's Newt.
But Tasigur doesn't run any Entomb effects.
It's not running, okay.
Because it's not a Reanimator deck. Everybody thinks it's... Yeah, you're not.
Okay, but I mean...
What would run this? This seems crazy. Because what you would do, right? You would swing with it, and then before damage, that's when you slam the Entomb.
That's when you Entomb it, because that way you're getting so they're like, you got nothing in your graveyard. And
yeah, that's
fine. Entomb the Peer. Or the Adnos.
Yeah, that's gross. It's nasty.
That's pretty gross. And then at base level, you're just getting that value of flashing back your value pieces, like, over time.
Well, it's only instant or sorcery that gains the flashback, right?
Yeah, yeah. But, I mean, think about it. If you're in a Dimir shell, like, you Demonic Tutor, and then you Archmage's Newt, you hit the Archmage's Newt, hey, I'm going to Demonic Tutor again. 2 Demonic Tutors just wins you the game.
Yeah, how bad do you think the Saddle 3 is?
I think
because Tymna doesn't get it.
Crom lists do it very easily. Grixis Crom might want this.
You would run this in Crom Tavesh? Would you?
Potentially. Potentially. I think Francisco Crom wants this because Francisco runs the Entomb effects.
Okay. Oh, maybe it does. Maybe.
Yeah, and they're also on Adnos. So I think Francisco Crom might want this.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. That seems like it would be really good for sure.
I mean, the issue is that Snapcaster Mage is like falling off, or it has fallen off in the meta. So I don't know if Archmage's Newt would find a new spot on it because it's very similar to Snapcaster Mage.
It is, but this gives the flashback 0. Snapcaster Mage isn't flashback 0.
Yes. Although it's very telegraphed because Saddle is sorcery speed, so if you don't have the Entomb, it's telegraphed what you're doing.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's a 2/2 with no evasion. So I don't know. I think some lists might want to test it out. I think it's going to see play maybe at high power for sure.
Okay. Maybe. What's up next? We have
this card you said you were excited about.
I was, and then I realized maybe it's not as great. Maybe I was.
Really?
Yeah. Well. Okay. So it's Key to the Vault. All right. It's 1 and a blue. It's a legendary artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may exile a non-land card from among them. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So, okay.
And then it says equip for 2 and a blue, right?
Yeah, equip is 2 and a blue. But the reason I didn't care about that part, or I guess I just forgot to read it, is because I'm thinking about this for Arden Crom.
Arden Crom. Oh, because then you're hitting for 4 in the base.
You're hitting for 4 in the face. You can exile the top 4 and then cast one of those things from the top 4 for free. Seems kind of good. I thought about it for that. I thought about it for Rafine, and the reason why I was kind of bummed about it is because I was like, I don't know if this works super well in Rafine, because Rafine, when it hits really hard, it's a ton, but it takes a long time to get there, and 5 mana for that effect is just not worth it. But maybe 2 mana in a deck like Arden Crom would be.
Yeah, I can see that, and Arden Crom really using this. Maybe Arden Malcolm.
Is that a deck? There's no way that's a deck.
That's
no
cool
shot.
though if it is. Arden Malcolm actually sounds pretty cool.
It does.
Maybe that's something to look at. Arden Malcolm, the new deck tech.
I mean, I've been playing Murder Bird for a while, right? And I'm thinking, what if I had a way to change it into Arden Crom when I want to? I think I'm just starving for equipments because I really love playing equipments in casual, and it's like one of my favorite casual archetypes is equipments. Okay, and maybe switching it over to cEDH with Arden Crom type of thing would be kind of cool.
I will say, Rograk Arden is a cool deck.
Rograk Arden too?
That can have legs in cEDH, at least in Fringe. I've seen that deck kill on turn 2 so many times. Not even funny.
Okay. Yeah. Well, one day I will build an equipment deck at cEDH. I don't know when that'll happen.
Yeah. Your deck building desire is equipment. Mine is Storm.
What a surprise.
So, looking at this next card, we have Thunderclap Drake. It's from the Commander part of the set. I want to say it's coming in the Commander decks, the precons. So it's 1 and a blue for a creature Drake 2/1. It has flying, and instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. It also has pay 2 and a blue, sacrifice it. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. I think this is pretty cool. Giving a base reduction to instant sorceries is great. Having that 2/1 flyer evasion. I mean, something like maybe Malcolm Timna could use this, I think.
Is this a strictly better Goblin Electromancer is the name of the card, right? The thing that
because I think this is strictly better Goblin Electromancer because you have, it's a flyer, it's only blue, so it has a more variety of decks it can go in, and it has that ability to sack it and give a sorcery, instant sorcery, an ability to copy for each time you cast your commander from the command zone.
How often are we doing that?
Maybe in like a Rograk deck.
Rograk, so
Rograk with blue. Rogzai, I don't think this is Rogzai. This is not a Rogzai.
Is there a Rograk Storm deck? Are you going to build the first one?
Rog Thrasios. The non-polymorph version, I think, runs some Storm shenanigans.
Interesting. Is this a Rog Thrasios card? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I like having that base reduction on a creature. And it is just a strictly better Goblin Electromancer. If you're running Goblin Electromancer, just switch it for this.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does Goblin Electromancer, isn't that a 1/2?
Is it a 1/2? I thought it was...
It's less Bowmasters of Bowl. This is a 2/1 with flying.
Yeah, it might be a 2/2. But the flying and having that activated ability, I think, is worth it.
Wait a minute. Cast my commander for the command zone. So does that mean that if I were to run this in Timna Malcolm, that if I cast Timna and then I cast Malcolm... And I use this.
Each one's separate.
Oh, really? Okay.
Sure, yeah.
Because that would make a big difference.
If it says cast a commander, but it says cast your commander, maybe it counts for both.
Yeah, it has to, right?
Yeah, maybe it counts for both. Then that would be. That'd be pretty cool. You just go Demonic Tutor, hold priority, sack this, or sack it and then Demonic Tutor, and then you're like, okay, I get 3 copies on the stack.
Yeah, no, that's
gross. You have to counter all of them, or I win.
Two copies, right? Because then you cast your Malcolm, you cast your Timna.
Yeah, but then you have the original Demonic Tutor and then 2 copies.
2 copies,
so you have 3 Demonic Tutors in the stack, and you're just like, hey,
counter
all 3 of these or I win.
Yeah, no, that's kind of busted if it works that way.
It's only for 5 mana, which you're going to be holding up 5 mana anyways for Adnons. Why Adnons when you can just grab your WinCon?
Do they have rulings on this card already? Because if so, we can check
out.
those.
I don't think they're going to have rulings until after pre-release.
Okay. Well, let us know in the comments. Are we getting that right? Is it?
They'll probably have rulings by the time this video comes out.
Well, they will, but also, any judges, let us know. Do we have it right? Is it for every commander? Because if that's the case, then I think this is a really, really good Malcolm Timna card. If not, then I think that makes a huge difference too. So yeah, let us know. This card. You like this card, right?
Well, you mentioned it to me. It's a card for Mad Farm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're looking at this one. Okay. Yeah. So this is Lively Dirge. I'm thinking about building Mad Farm. I don't know if I will yet. It's something like, am I considering? Like, so right now my next frontier is going to be either Arden Crom or Mad Farm. I'm basically just taking my Murder Bird list, which I really like, and I'm doing something different with the commanders. So like Jessica, I want to use maybe in conjunction with Timna.
Are you gonna put Isha in the 98 of Arden Crom?
Oh, wouldn't that be hilarious though?
That's pretty funny.
I mean, just that would be more for me. That wouldn't be like a cEDH choice. That'd be like, hey, this is like your deck or whatever.
But you always want to have your own picks in there. You don't have to go with the full like net deck or meta list.
That's true.
You want your own spice picks. You want your own pet cards. Like cEDH is a creative format.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want and what makes you happy.
Yeah, so that's totally true. I think for my Arden Crom list, I would build it like Murder Bird, but just with equipments.
Okay.
So like you do the Crom, and then you do value equipments is the point. Because the thing about Murder Bird is, yes, it deals a ton of damage, right? And Murder Bird is Jessica Ishai, for those who don't know. It deals just a ton of damage, but like there's no card advantage. There's no value gain from it. Jessica's a great removal commander, yeah, but like unless your commanders are giving you some type of either mana or cards, like nowadays they just have a little bit of a hard time, right?
They kind of fall short.
Yeah, so I'm thinking changing my Jeskai build to an Arden Crom list that uses value equipments like Key to the Vault and like things like that. What's the sort of Feast and Famine to just get more either untap my lands or draw more cards or make my bonus discard or whatever. Anyway, that was a big tangent. This card's called Lively Dirge. It's 1 and a black for sorcery with Spree. Another Spree card. You get a +1, search your library for a card, put it in your graveyard, then shuffle. So it's 3 mana and 2 but sorcery speed, which is kind of bad. Yeah. But +2, return up to 2 target creature cards with total mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So I'm thinking with this specific Spree card, you're probably paying all of those costs. So it's 5 mana. So for the price of a Naz, what does this give you? For the price of a Naz, this lets you reanimate a dead Dockside, but also tutor for a Grand Abolisher for protection, pretty much. So that's essentially what it's doing. That's how I imagine it would be, right? Because in Mad Farm, what do you do sometimes? You play your Dockside, you get a bunch of Dockside treasures, maybe you do a Jessica, and then Jessica's on 2, and you have 2 good targets, but like it doesn't really make sense to hit another person, so you hit your own Dockside to reanimate it later. Maybe that's something you want to do, and then you could pay 5 mana to grab that and a Grand Abolisher on a later turn to protect yourself while also having a bunch of treasures. Mad Farm doesn't really have a whole lot of interaction in terms of counter spells. Like it has Pyro and Red, sure, but like outside of that, you really want that Grand Abolisher effect, and I think Lively Dirge being able to tutor Grand Abolisher out of your deck and reanimate your own Dockside is pretty cool.
That is,
and it's for 5. It's for 5 mana. It's the price of a Final Parting, if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah, it essentially does what like Final Parting wants to do.
The crappy thing is it's a Final Parting that can get spell snared. Which is my biggest problem with these Spree cards. Like, you're paying so much for an effect, and the low value counter spells hit them. Yeah. Like, the mentals hit them, the spell hit them. So I'm not super on them. But also, the cool thing about Lively Dirge is that, like you said, for a lot of the other Spree cards, it doesn't take too much off of the Naz hit.
Yeah, it's a 2 mana card for Ad Naz.
Whereas Final Party takes 5.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe that's worth it, even though it is a little bit more vulnerable to counter magic. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's worth it. I'm liking some of these Spree cards, and the fact that it's an uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so 3 mana Entomb, 5 mana to Entomb and return 2 creatures with total mana value 4 or less. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, you're always paying both costs in this case. It's not like
in this card, because like a lot of these Spree cards, you're choosing 1 or 2 of the modes. This one, you're definitely hitting both modes for sure.
Yeah, because if you're not, then it's just a crappy Entomb.
Yep.
And if you are, then
I mean, if you already have the cards in your graveyard.
Yeah, if you the cards
4 mana to return both of them isn't bad.
For sure.
It's the cost of just casting them out of the graveyard.
Mm-hmm. Definitely something to look at and try out if I ever build Mad Farm. But yeah, Mad Farm players, let us know in the comments if that is a good card that you're also looking at. Just let us know what you think.
I think we should mention Shoot the Sheriff. It's 1 and a black for an instant, destroy target non-outlaw creature. So outlaws are assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. Everyone else's fair game is in the flavor text.
Oh, that's wait, really?
Or in the reminder text.
That's so...
In the reminder text, it says everyone else is fair game.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So I think Shoot the Sheriff is interesting. It's probably... I don't know if it's going to see play, in all honesty. It's more like a power word kill with the restrictions on destroying a non-outlaw creature. I think it's good to mention, though, 2-mana removal spell. It kind of falls into those, like... You mentioned the blue bound spells that come out every once in a while. Is
this Infernal Grasp but worse? Because I feel like Pirates are great.
every 2-mana removal spell I think is Infernal Grasp but worse since it has restrictions. This is power word kill. Mm-hmm. I think that's the same kind of vein it falls into.
Interesting. One thing I realized when looking at this card is that there are actually a lot of good rogues that I want to kill.
A lot of good rogues?
Yeah, is an opposition agent a rogue? And
so is Notion Thief.
Notion Thief, and what about Dothy?
Dothy. Yeah,
is Timna a rogue?
Timna is a cleric, human cleric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's fair game.
That's fair game. Timna is fair game.
Dang, I like that though. I like that flavor text a lot.
Yeah. The next card we have is Kervek the Punisher.
Yeah.
So it's 1 and 2 black for a legendary creature, human warlock. It's an outlaw. Can't get hit by Shoot the Sheriff. Mm-hmm. It's a 3/3 that says whenever you commit a crime, exile up to 1 target black card from your graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy. If you do, you lose 2 life. Huh.
Yeah.
So committing a crime is targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyard.
You want to know what commander commits more crimes than any other?
What?
Jessica Thrice Reborn.
Ooh.
Right? So that's the thing, is like Jessica's doing all the targeting. This is another Mad Farm card potentially. 1 and 2 black, you target something and then you can give your stuff flashback. So for 3 mana, right, casting your commander, if you also have this somehow, right, you can give 3 cards flashback. So it's a Snapcaster Mage, but it gives 3 cards flashback instead of just 1 with Jessica. But yeah.
I will say though, the fact that it's restricted to black cards.
Yeah, that is a problem.
I think this probably sees play in like Keurig or Braids.
Would you play this in Braids?
Potentially. We have a lot of removal. We're committing crimes.
We are committing crimes, but what do we...
Want to flashback a tutor?
Flashback a tutor?
Flashback an Entomb? Flashback...
You want to know what's interesting?
You can flashback a failed instant reanimate.
You could.
You go, hey, you stopped my Shallow Grave. All right, Contagion for free. Oh, I'll Shallow Grave again.
My original concern with that was that, number 1, we may not have the mana to cast the removal spell and the thing we're flashing back, but also we have free removal spells.
We have a lot of free removal spells.
Do we have a high enough density to justify running the card?
Potentially. I think it's worth testing.
Okay, maybe it is a Braids card and not a Mad Farm card?
I think it goes in the considering board at least, for sure. The thing is about Mad Farm is that it's a 3-color deck, and running this card means you can only flashback black cards. I think the home is really in mono black decks. All right, so our next cards are kind of a package for Braids.
Yep, Braids package, they're the tiniest of bones.
Yeah.
Hopefully the bones aren't too tiny and it's playable.
Yeah. I think also... Well, do you want to mention this first one?
Yeah.
Let's talk about this first.
Okay, so Tiny Bones, the skeleton.
Yes.
The little boy. I love how he's dancing on a piano, like an old Western piano. I just love the art for this card. Like,
it's sick.
I just imagine that he's playing a piano at like a bar by running
he's
on
playing
the
a little
keys.
jig.
Yeah, by running on the keys, dude. Yeah, it's funny.
As he's stealing your wallet, he's just doing a little jig.
Oh, does he have? Oh, he has a little satchel of stuff.
Yeah,
he's adorable.
He's a pickpocket.
He's the cutest pickpocket. I want to run him because I think he's so adorable. Look at him, his little
hat
and boots.
You say that now, and then he makes you discard your whole hand.
I mean, he has Death Touch, so he could kill me, but like,
yeah,
it would be the cutest way to die. Look at his boots, dude. He's so adorable. Anyways, he's a pickpocket. Tiny Bones the pickpocket for 1 black. He's a legendary creature, skeleton rogue, and he has Death Touch. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's graveyard. And mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. So we were thinking about this for braids. And then there's also Tiny Bones Joins Up, which is also 1 black. It's a legendary enchantment, and when it enters, any number of target players each discard a card. And whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, any number of target players each mill a card and lose 1 life. So both these are 1 mana black permanents that can be sacked to braids to draw cards, basically.
Yep.
Enchantments are generally better than creatures at doing this because people are more willing to sack creatures than enchantments, but maybe Tiny Bones the Pickpocket is good enough to deserve that slot. What do you think?
I think Tiny Bones the Pickpocket is probably going to see play as a commander.
Really?
I mean, 1 black. He's so easy to get out there, and you get to steal things. So you run discard, force them to discard stuff, and then you take their best things. Tiny Bones Joins Up, though. I think it's good enough for braids. I think we need to have it in there.
Really?
Because a 1-mana enchantment is just Ancestral Recall.
That is true, but we do have one already. It is called Hopeless Nightmare.
I don't think we swap it for Hopeless Nightmare.
You don't think so? Because the Scry 2 is too good.
Yeah, I mean, scrying 2 setting up your next turn I think is worth. Having this the only benefit this gives you is that it allows you to discard a card as well, or allows us as the player.
Right. And we have a discard outlet in Sinister Concoction already, which also lets us mill a card, by the way, which can let us mill something that we top deck tutor for to then reanimate it. So I don't know. The utility of it, and also it destroys a creature. So
yeah, I don't think we cut Sinister Concoction either. I think we maybe look elsewhere for it. But
what would you cut for it?
What density of 1-mana black enchantments do we really need?
That'll be something we can look over another time when we're tuning it. Yeah. Actually, you know what? We could tune it another time, and if we end up putting it in the list, I'll definitely update the changelog, and we can definitely try it out for sure. Something to look at.
I think it's something to test.
Definitely. And then Tiny Bones the Pickpocket, I don't think he's good enough for braids just because he only can cast permanents, and usually that's going to be Mystic Remoras, and braids is faster than a Mystic Remora.
Yeah.
Generally.
I agree with you on that. I think Tiny Bones we might see, though, as commander for sure. Mono black.
Could be.
All right, let's look at these red cards we got going on here. Oh, man. So this one is something I found that I think is pretty sick. Magebane Lizard. It's 1 and a red for a 1/4 creature lizard. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Magebane Lizard deals damage to that player equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn.
This is Rug of Smothering.
This is Rug of Smothering. Very similar to Rug of Smothering. Being a 1/4 means it's got a big booty. It doesn't get hit by lightning bolt. It doesn't get killed by lightning bolt. I think it sees play in Blood Pod.
Wow. Okay.
In some stacks like that. Because, I mean, you slam this and you say, hey, you can't add Naz, you can't breach, you're going to be casting a lot of non-creature spells. This just says you're going to die if you do that. It's anti-storm.
Yeah, it's definitely anti-storm. I also think in a Mardu stacks deck, it would also be a good option, too.
Yeah, just getting damage out there and really stopping people from popping off.
Sure, especially the Mardu stacks commander I'm looking at, because this, it is a body. It's 1/4, hard to get rid of. Yeah, and then anything that just deals damage. I'll explain my idea a little bit later. But yeah, this is definitely conducive to the beat down plan. You could run both this and Rug of Smothering in that deck.
Ooh. It also goes into those Gruul stacks that are running like Rurik Thar and the lizard that came out of was it New Capenna? It was the lizard that deals 4 damage whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell on someone else's turn, or whenever someone casts a spell on someone else's turn.
Oh shoot, I don't remember that one. Do you want to?
There's like some direct damage. There's Gruul stacks that has a lot of direct damage. I think this fight has a spot in there too.
Okay, yeah, no, I think I agree. I think it's pretty good there, and Blood Pod could be nice too. Yeah. So rock on. This is a spicy card, bro.
Let's look at this one.
This one first. Oh,
let's look at this one.
Okay.
Yeah, that way. Do you want to talk about this one?
Sure. This is Molten Duplication. This is 1 and a red. It's one of the From the Vault cards. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste until end of turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So this is Twin Flame, but can do artifacts too.
Yeah.
Why would we want to have that effect to do to do with artifacts?
Well,
How is this not just Twin Flame but worse? Is what I want to know.
but worse because it has no strive.
Yes.
I think doubling up on this effect is great. It's like a heat shimmer. You can tutor it off Spellseeker, however. I think it has a home in Itali, which wants all these double ETBs.
Well, that's true.
I think it has a home in any deck that's trying to dual caster win. Like, if you're really hard in on that, like Krakashima probably wants this. Any deck that's really, like, heavy on these, like, get more ETBs, get more copies of things.
Yeah, it's just another one of those awesome...
Yeah, Magda might run this.
Yeah.
I think.
For what? Well, I mean, this...
You copy a Dockside. You copy... It's another one with your dual caster, so you just have a density of those effects. You can copy your Dockside, and that's like the big thing. Yeah,
okay, so maybe certain decks want more than just the Twin Flame to do that.
Yes, I think mono red and maybe even 2-color red decks.
Oh yeah, here's what I don't realize. Like when I run Twin Flame, it's in Dargo Thrasios. Yeah. And I have the blue clones, so I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
Decks that don't have access to blue need more clone effects.
Like that.
Yeah, for their Dockside.
Except this only hits their own, but it's hitting your Dockside. That's the best creature to clone in the format.
That's true. But it does only it does only make a token copy of something you control. You can't clone someone else's Dockside with this.
Yeah.
But maybe that's fine. That's good enough.
I think that's good enough though.
For sure. I do think I think Itali got a new card to make it even better. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now this card is something I'm trying to make work. It's Crackling Spellslinger. It's 3 and 2 red for a creature, human, wizard, 2/2 with flash. When Crackling Spellslinger enters the battlefield, if you cast it, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn has Storm. Dude.
Yeah. Sell me on this one, because I was not a believer. So I don't even know if I still am a believer.
You don't even know if you're still a believer.
This is the price of a Nas. It better do something awesome.
Yeah. Well, what I'm thinking of, first of all, is you've got your own Storm turns. You cast a bunch of spells. You ritual, cast this, then cast any card you really like. You gamble. You get a million gambles. And then you just grab Breach on the last one. If you're in other colors, you can Demonic Tutor with Storm. Like, think of all these cards that if they gain Storm, the game is over.
Yeah.
Any instant sorcery, any tutor, you win the game. Your opponents lose the game. There's also the added effect of if someone's on their own turn and you're holding up this mana because say you're in Rakdos and you're holding up this mana for Adnos anyways. Someone starts brain freezing, they Lion's Eye, and you're like, I could Adnos right now. Or I have 6 mana open. I'm going to Crackling Spellslinger. Storm count's already at like 12 or 13 because they've been brain freezing and they have Athas's on the stack. And you go Lightning Bolt with Storm. You lose, and I get to kill this opponent too.
That is, I hope that's not Magical Fairy Christmas Land, because I want that to happen.
That only requires 2 cards. It cuts any Storm list that's running Grape Shot as a payoff, cuts the Grape Shot payoff in thirds with a Lightning Bolt. I think it's giving any instant sorcery Storm is kind of scary.
Yeah, no, for sure. But for 5 mana though,
if you're in like a Krark deck, Krakashima, you play this and then you submerge for free, submerge with Storm. You get to put however many creatures onto the top of their owner's libraries. I think there's the value to be had even with free spells. You turn a Force of Will essentially into a better Flusterstorm. You'd be holding up 5 mana, but still. I think there's some really cool shenanigans to do with this.
I think the ceiling is incredibly high.
Yeah.
I think
the floor is
floor is like super low, because I've found that Dual Caster is dead in my hand sometimes. I didn't
really.
Yeah, I cut it from Dargo Thrasios because I just didn't need it.
Wow.
The deck needs a high density of very high quality cards to work because you don't have access to black tutors, so you don't have that consistency. So I found that Dual Caster was often just dead in my hand. Like, when it was good, it was really good, but when it was bad, it was really bad. It's like a toxic relationship. Like a lot of cards are like that. Like, they have really high ceilings and really, really low floors. I feel like this might be one of them, but this is just, if you could pull this off, I feel like it's just game ending.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whereas Dual Caster, if you pull it off, it's not game ending.
I mean, it could be, depending if you have your multi-duplication in hand.
If you have your yeah, I guess so. Sure.
But yeah, I think Crackling Spellslinger can be game ending. And maybe it's just the Storm player me trying to push it, but I really like this card.
I definitely think you should give it a try. Let me know what you think. Wow, green did not get any good cards.
Let's look at the singular card we have for green. So what do we got? Another card that can get mental misstepped?
Yeah, another card that you get mental misstepped. But this time you pay 6 to put 2 creature cards from your hand on the battlefield, and then they mental you. Anyway, this is Smuggler's Surprise. This is 1 green for an instant.
Yep.
It is an instant, so that's better than nothing. But it's got 3 different spree things. You can pay 2 generic to mill 4 cards and put up to 2 creature and or land cards from among the mill cards into your hand. You can pay 4 and a green in addition to the 1 green to put 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. And then you can pay an extra 1 to give your creatures with power 4 or greater hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So it's a heroic intervention for your 4 power or greater creatures.
Wow.
Yeah. It's instant, so it is kind of cool that you can just pay 6 on someone else's turn and drop 2 big creatures.
2 game-ending creatures, potentially?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You drop a Dockside and a Fimage.
You could, on someone else's turn. You surely could do that for 6 mana.
You drop a Thassa's and a Leveler.
Yes, you can drop. I mean, I was thinking about running this in Tasigur because I think it'd be hilarious because you have to run one card in your slot in your Tasigur deck should be dedicated to when you draw pod cards. So if you have pod cards and you have access to 6 mana, you just drop them. That's pretty sick.
Is a way to drop them. And then you get mental misstep to spending 6 mana.
Yeah. That's exactly. Yeah.
That's
why it's not happening, bro.
That's the downside is free.
A lot of casual folks were going really crazy over this dinosaur card, which is really cool, by the way. And I would actually run it in one of my casual decks.
You would run it in one of your casual decks?
Yeah, it's called Vaultborn Tyrant. That's the one.
Yeah.
It's like 5 and 2 green. It's got trample, and it says when it or another creature power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under you control, you gain 3 life and draw a card. And then when it dies, if it's not a token, you make a token that's a copy of it, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types.
Okay. I could see it in the Stompy Green decks where you just start. This is a way to draw cards.
Right.
You gain life incidentally, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to die twice.
And it clones itself.
Yeah. I mean, so if you're in like green-black and it dies and then you reanimate it again, it's not legendary.
Right. So you can
draw 2 cards a turn.
Yeah.
Or 2 cards a creature.
Yeah, exactly. So it is cool to snowball in. The only reason why we wouldn't want to run it in our format is because for 7 mana we need to be winning the game, and so that's kind of a common theme in a lot of our cards. Is we're always looking at, I think 5 or 6 is like the magic number. If I'm paying 5 or 6 for an effect, that effect better be crazy, and that's really just because Nas exists.
Yeah. You gotta be doing something nuts.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
Like, I think Expropriate falls into the category that's like too weak for cEDH.
Yeah, and that card's 9 mana.
Busted.
Yeah, that card is busted, but it's 9 mana. Like, why would I spend 9 mana on Expropriate when I could spend 5 mana and kill you?
Yeah.
With Nas or with hell, I don't know. 7 mana can cast Peer into the Abyss. Yeah. So, like, I'm drawing half my deck, sure. Like,
all I'm gonna say is 3 mana wins you the game with Thassa's and Demonic.
Yeah. In getting there, it should.
Yeah.
7 mana should get me there, and that's not what the dinosaur does.
Let's look at these multicolored cards we got.
Yeah, multicolored and legendary creatures too. We have a lot of really cool legendary creatures from this set, actually.
Yeah, do we want to go over the multicolored non-legendary creatures, or do we want to go over the creatures first?
You have multicolored non-legendary creatures on this list?
Yeah, we have multicolored cards that are non-legendary.
Well,
creatures.
Multicolored non-legendary cards. Not. I thought you put a multicolored creature on here.
A singular multicolored non-legendary card.
Let's talk about it, bro. You go.
All right.
Go in.
It's Pest Control.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a white and a black for a sorcery that says destroy all non-land permanents with mana value 1 or less, and has cycling for 2. I think it's pretty gas.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Culling Ritual, except it's only 2 mana. So I mean, the best thing you can do with this card is you take a turn off, everyone drops all their rocks, and then you're like turn 2, land, Pest Control, wipe everybody else's rocks, and then you start playing your own.
It's a tempo move in that case.
It's a tempo move.
Yeah.
And then late game, You can always just cycle it to draw a card if you don't really need to use the destroy.
Yeah, I'm trying. So my issue with this card is the best part of Culling Ritual is the mana it gives you, right?
Yeah.
And the best part of that, and this doesn't give you mana, but the thing is, like, I struggle with finding a way to play this card well, because like if I'm taking a turn off. Well, maybe not struggling to play this card well, but I'm struggling to find out what deck wants this card. Because what deck plays like this?
Orzhov stacks.
So would Rafine run it? If that's Esper stacks, take a turn off and drop it?
Esper stacks, yeah, potentially. You take a turn off, drop it, and then drop all your rocks. And even if they have some way of recurring their entire graveyard by shuffling it back in or anything, you will have rule of law effects by then. I think this is a card that helps your mulligans if you're going in 4th seed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It does. So like my thing with it is like, do I want to take a turn off to drop my rocks or not? Like wouldn't I rather just cast my rocks and play my deck and not hold myself back just to gotcha someone with a pest control, or would I?
Because it's not about gotching someone; it's
gotching everyone. Right.
And so they drop their rocks. So from your point of view, then, why would you not just play your rocks? They drop all their rocks, you drop your rocks, you guys are at the same level. Mm-hmm. But if you hold back and you cast this, then you drop your rocks. For the rest of the game, you are 2, 3, 4 turns ahead of everybody because you wiped their rocks.
Mm. No, that's true. That's true. Huh.
And you have set everybody back to the Stone Age.
And you're good. Yeah.
And it hits those turn 1 Mystics. If they go Mystic Remora, they're like, land, Mystic Remora, turn 2, no land, I'm going to pay for my Mystic Remora, and we're just going to hope it draws me cards. You give them 1 card off this pest control, but then you destroy their Mystic Remora, which they were banking their entire hand on. Yeah,
I think slower decks with Orzhov colors want the card.
I think decks that are in stacks with Orzhov colors want this for sure. Potentially control decks.
I mean, it is $15. I mean,
it's going.
It's going. I think
people are going to want to play this.
Yeah.
The added ability of just cycling it later on is great. Because if you're like, oh, this is going to do nothing for me, I'll just cycle it and draw a card.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick one up for sure.
And it feels breach if you're in Mardu.
That is true. It does do that.
Because it also hits your own stuff. You tap all your rocks for mana.
But in Mardu, I'm trying to go fast. Unless I'm in the Mardu stacks, which we can talk about.
Exactly.
You want to talk about that right now? This one?
Yeah, let's start into these legendary creatures we've got here.
Yeah, okay. So there's a couple of things we said earlier, and it was if you're in cEDH, we want commanders that make us mana and draw us cards, right?
Yeah.
So this is Olivia, Opulent Outlaw. It's 1 in Mardu for a legendary creature, Vampire Assassin. It's got flying and lifelink, and whenever 1 or more outlaws you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. And then you can sacrifice 2 treasures to, you pay 3 and sacrifice 2 treasures to put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. So I'm thinking with this one, you fill your deck with a bunch of outlaws, like mercenaries. So we have Opposition Agent, which is a rogue.
Yeah.
You have Dothy, another rogue. You have
I'm sure there are a couple of assassins.
I'm sure there is something. Again, I just saw the card and had this idea out of nowhere.
Warlocks.
I don't know about warlocks. Maybe something. I'm sure if I were to brew this, I'd find something. But basically, the point is, it's almost Malcolm. It gives you treasures.
And it's almost Timna.
But the thing is, it does. The 3 in sacrificing 2 treasures to put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Yeah. That I feel like can really make this card conducive to stacks. So stacks beatdown isn't really super great overall, but it could be good because the Mardu shell is really good. You still have your breach lines, you still have everything, and you can buff up your creatures a bunch and just continue to make mana with this card. It's just a card that gives you mana advantage. It gives you a stacks beatdown. That's why I think it could be potentially a Mardu stacks commander, especially since we got High Noon, we got that new lizard dude. Yeah. Like there could be some good pieces for it.
There definitely are. That was from the commander set, right?
Yeah, from the commander set. Yeah.
Speaking of the precons, we've got another card that I find very interesting. I've actually already brutalist kind of.
Oh, yeah.
I've brutalist for 2 of these legendary creatures already. But this one is probably my favorite one. It's Stella Lee wild card. So it's 1, a blue, and a red for a legendary creature, human rogue, a 2/4. And it says, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. So card advantage for just casting spells, which is what you want in a commander. And then it has tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if you cast 3 or more spells this turn. So it has a payoff.
Yeah.
So this card goes infinite with any spell that untaps a creature.
Yes.
Or gains control of a creature. So there's like the threat effects. So you just cast 3 spells or 2 spells, and then the third one is your untapper. Tap Stella Lee to copy it, and then you make infinite of that spell. As long as it has 1 payoff, like draw a card on it, you draw your deck.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You built this list, right? I assumed you've been goldfishing it.
A bit, yeah.
I assume you'll probably make it public soon.
Oh, for sure.
How much of a barrier do you feel like is the activate only if you've cast 3 or more spells this turn? Because
not that hard.
Really? Not
there
that hard?
There are a lot of... So the deck is filled with cantrips.
Okay.
It also says 3 or more spells, so it doesn't specify instant or sorceries. So you can drop rock, cast your untapper.
And that's just good enough.
Yeah, or dockside follow-up. I think it's definitely easy enough to hit. And the second spell each turn, getting an extra card, is great.
Yeah.
You're double casting a lot. You're double casting to draw, to try to find your untappers to win. Because if you double cast and then that card flipped off the top is your untapper, you cast that and you win because that's your third spell.
I think it's a really cool spell slinger commander. We don't have a whole lot of spell slingers in cEDH though. Yeah. We have Storm, but I don't think that's the same.
We have like Malcolm Jeska, any like is it partners like Crom Jeska's a thing.
Crom Jeska's a thing.
Crom Jeska's a thing. Is it just wild. You have the ability of just killing with Crom as a backup.
I mean, this seems like better than that. Like,
oh yeah, this is turn 1 Jewel Lotusable, and then you just start popping off.
Right. I think another thing that really excites me about this commander is, like, we have Storm decks in the format, but we don't have decks that are like, I'm trying to cast maybe not my whole deck in the same turn, but just like a couple spells just to gain advantage here and there, and then finally go to a place where I can go off just completely. Right.
And that's what this is. Yeah.
And I hope you're able to do that when you build this one. I think this is sick.
I think it's gonna be sick. Now, if we go still on the Precon commanders, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. So this is Gaunty, Canny Acquisitor. This is a Soul Tie commander. It's 2 and black, green, blue for a legendary creature, Aetherborn Rogue, and it says spells you cast but don't own cost 1 less to cast. You're like, when would I ever do that? Don't worry, his ability contextualizes when that happens.
Yeah.
So whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, look at the top card of that player's library, then exile it face down. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. Okay, so you're probably noticing a theme here with me. Because Olivia is also a 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player.
You're just trying to hit people.
I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to fuse Malcolm and or Timna into one commander.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that could be something you can do.
So where Olivia gives you mana advantage, Gaunty gives you card advantage.
Yes, but Olivia helps you with beatdown. But Gaunty makes it cost 1 less. So I like Gaunty a lot. I also like the fact that he's just Jeweled Lotus and then green blue, so he's easy.
Yeah.
He is 5 mana, which is a lot. He is a 5 mana 5/5. But for 2 more mana than a Timna, what can you do? You can swing at everybody. You still get the 3 cards that you would with Timna.
But they're not your cards.
They're not your cards, but they cost 1 less.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. It might be like a theft kind of thing, but if you're playing cEDH...
Does this deck run Villainous Wealth?
Yes.
Dude, I love Villainous Wealth, and I've been trying to find a deck that would run it.
This could be Villainous Wealth in cEDH.
Oh.
I don't know if it would be tournament viable or whatever, but I do think
Yeah.
it could be extremely powerful. I do think it could be something that, you're dropping down and you're getting card advantage in the form of your opponent's cards, like at a cEDH table. That could be just brutal. And the thing is, the fact you can spend mana of any type, to
it
cast the
fixes your
spell.
mana, which is good. That's the
To
downfall
cast
of
your opponent's spells. Yeah.
That's the downfall Centriples has, is that it doesn't fix your mana.
But Gonti does, and he makes it cost one less. So, like, yeah, I can get somebody's Dockside. No problem. I can get somebody's whatever.
For one red.
For
red.
one red, yeah, because he costs one less. And not just one red, one of any color.
Well, one of any color, yeah.
I can use a mana crypt to cast 2 Docksides.
That's nuts. That is nuts.
That's insane, bro. I think that's so cool. So I definitely want to be looking at Gonti as like my fun cEDH commander. I don't know if I would ever put it into a tournament, but that seems like something extremely
really cool.
powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of really cool stuff that I think would be a fun cEDH commander, this is the last 3-color legendary creature we're looking at, which is Loot, the key to everything. So it's a Teamer. It's a green, a blue, and a red for a legendary creature, Beast Noble. It's a 1/2 with Ward 1. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of card types among other non-land permanents you control. You may play those cards this turn. So it's card advantage in the command zone. You're going to be playing this. You exile top X, where X is another other non-land permanent. So you're usually going to have, you're in Teamer, you're usually going to have a Dork, maybe a Rock, potentially an enchantment if you're running which you will be running the ramp enchantments in this deck. So generally you're going to be getting 1 to 2 cards, anywhere between 1 and 3 cards, I think.
Okay.
So on average, you're probably going to be hitting 2 cards a turn because you're going to have a creature and a rock. And getting an extra 2 cards a turn is pretty good.
Yeah, it is. To me, what this looks like is Rafine, but less setup, or potentially more setup. I don't know yet. You'll have to kind of tell me about what you're thinking, because Rafine comes down, right? And the only reason I'm comparing it to Rafine is because Rafine is Esper, so it's the same cost. They both have Ward 1. Rafine, the difference is that the turn she comes down, whenever you attack, she can trigger. So you can play her, attack with something and do it. Whereas him, you have to wait a whole turn cycle before you get his payoff. The difference is, though, is that you don't have to attack. You don't have to go through combat to get the advantage.
You don't have to do anything to do it. You just have to have a board.
You just have to wait. Yep. And you have to wait, and you have to have a board. And the thing about that is, you have to wait and have a board, but he gives you extra cards, whereas Rafine doesn't give you extra cards. It just helps you sculpt the perfect hand.
Yeah, Rafine makes you draw them discard, whereas Loot is just going to give you those cards. You just have to play them that turn.
You want to know what's ironic? His name is Loot, but Rafine's the one that's looting you, not him.
Yeah,
that's really funny. but yeah, I think it's comparable to that for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Would this be like a Teamer control listed? How would you build this?
No, you wouldn't build it in any route that's near Rafine. Loot is just, you get your extra cards in the command zone. It's a card advantage engine in the command zone, so all you're doing is you're doing Teamer good stuff.
Oh, Teamer good stuff.
And it allows for explosive turns because you have to cast those spells that turn.
Okay, yeah. Teamer good stuff is not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. Seems cool.
Let's look at this one. This one you were really excited about.
I was, but I also might be, like, on crack, dude. I don't know.
You also might be on crack for this one.
For this one, I don't know. His name's Laughing Jasper Flint. He just looks cool, bro. He's a black and a red. I think his art looks sick. He just reminds me of an actual. He's the most outlaw-ish looking one out of all the other outlaws in the set. Like, when I think of Outlaw, his outfit and his just vibe comes to mind for me. Yeah. That's not why I like him fully. That's the casual in me talking. The competitor will tell you that this card is Yuriko for mercenaries.
So what does he do?
So he's creatures you control but don't own are mercenaries in addition to their other types. So he gives you more outlaws. And the reason we care about outlaws is because of his second ability. And his second ability says, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library, where X is the number of outlaws you control. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those cards, and mana of any type can be used to cast those spells.
So another steal stuff.
another steal stuff.
You're just trying to steal stuff.
Well, I'm not trying to. I'm looking for advantage commanders in this set, my friend.
And you're trying to steal stuff. That's what's going on.
Maybe, but I mean, it is a set about outlaws, so like all the advantage commanders are ones that don't give you card advantage. They are the ones that take advantage of your opponents.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking for commanders that draw me cards. I'm looking for commanders that give me advantage. I'm looking for that. And it's funny because on theme, the commanders that they've presented here gain advantage through your opponent's decks, not necessarily your own. So that's kind of the weird thing with this one. And the reason I'm comparing it to Yuriko is because Yuriko can play a bunch of ninjas and do a lot of good stuff, do a lot of bleedy things, a lot of hurty things. This one, it doesn't bleed, no, but if you fill it with a bunch of outlaws, you're getting a bunch of cards off of somebody's library. And that can be important. The best deck at the table. You choose the best. You choose Blue Farm, and you draw faster than Blue Farm.
Do you really though? I mean, so you get this out, and then you're getting one card.
Yes.
Then you play another mercenary or another outlaw.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get another. You get 2 cards.
Here's the thing. That maybe either you or I'm missing. You cast this one. Yeah. You get 1 card, but before that, you're going to be casting Dathi or other rogues, changeling, like a lot of the Yuriko cards you'll be casting, because a lot of the Yuriko cards are also, they're ninjas. Yuriko runs some assassins, some things like, so you have some like low to the ground outlaws is the point. And then on that upkeep, the turn when you cast him, you're getting a bunch of these extra cards. You cast somebody's. I don't know, you cast somebody's value creature and it becomes a mercenary in addition to other types. That means the next turn cycle you'll have an extra outlaw. So he makes more outlaws. Okay. So you steal, so Bowmasters, for example. You get a Bowmasters from somebody. That becomes a mercenary.
That becomes a mercenary, which is an outlaw.
Yes.
Yeah, so the more creatures you steal from someone else is okay.
Yeah, creatures will help him trigger more, but then also decks in this format run incredibly powerful cards and you get access to each one. You get access to each one because he fixes your mana. So even though you're in Rakdos only, you're still getting green. You're still getting white. You're still getting, blue cards. You're still getting access to all of those because you can cast them. You can cast someone's Rhystic Study because he fixes your mana for you too.
That's pretty cool.
For 3 mana. He's
you still have to pay the mana cost though, right?
You do. But like I said, you'll have the mana available because you cast him and you do have to wait a turn. That's the only downside with him is you have to wait a turn. He is a 4/3 for 3 though, so I don't know.
So it's similar to loot where you're just playing him and then waiting for your upkeep.
It's another loot mentality. The difference is it's a lot easier to cast because he's 1 generic, 1 black, 1 red.
Yeah.
And you just have to play outlaws. You're changeling outcasts. You're this or that, whatever. To get as many outlaws as possible, and then do that.
Ooh. Okay, let's move on to this. So I was wrong. This is the last 3-color commander we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Marchesa, Dealer of Death.
Mm-hmm.
So Marchesa is a blue, a black, and a red for a legendary creature, human rogue, 3/4, that says, whenever you commit a crime, you may pay 1 colorless. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So remember, targeting opponents, anything they control, or cards in their graveyards is a crime.
Grixis Control is a deck now, maybe?
I don't even know if it's Grixis Control.
Really? You wouldn't?
I think this is just generic Grixis stuff, and then you've got Marchesa as an outlet for infinites.
You have that too, but here's the cool thing too: is it also makes control good because every time you're doing
anytime you do something to stop them,
it refills you. Anytime you interact, if you have that extra mana, you just get an extra card.
Yeah, anytime you interact, it's pay 1 mana, look at the top impulse.
And she's an infinite mana outlet.
Specifically for if you're doing Baron and Dockside, you can use Baron to target one of your opponent's creatures, and then while that's on the stack, you've committed a crime, activate Marchesa, keep overlapping that same target on your opponent's creature, and you draw your deck with Marchesa.
And you're in Grixis, which is the best I win the game colors.
You're running Thassa's, you're running Breach,
Breach.
you're running all the Grixis good stuff. And then anytime you interact, if you have an extra mana, you're drawing a card.
This is Grixis control that can close out a game. Because that's the thing, is that we have Talion, which is like really good control deck in our format, but it doesn't really have a way to win outside of Thassa's Demonic or outside of Jace, Wielder of Mysteries Demonic, whereas this, like...
This has your outlet in the command zone to
Mm-hmm.
It's
and
harder to
advantage
draw
in
the
the
cards
command
as
zone.
much just because you need that mana, but paying 1 mana to draw 1 card, looking at top 2 and choosing 1 is good.
Mm-hmm.
And it puts 1 in your graveyard, so you can run reanimation shenanigans.
Yeah, you can do reanimation. You build a control shell that
it also
can
fuels your
reanimate.
graveyard for Breach.
Yes. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So it fuels your graveyard for Breach. Like it's reanimation and it's Breach fuel, and it rewards you for controlling.
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
And it's a 3 mana 3/4. It passes the vanilla test.
Mm-hmm. I definitely would want to build something around this one because I've been looking for a good control commander, and I think Grixis control could be, something nice with this one because it rewards you for controlling the board. It fuels your Breach. It gives you reanimation options, and I don't really like control shells that don't close out the game well, and I feel like this deck would not have that problem.
Yeah. I think this deck really just allows you to close out the game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at this one. What do you think of the...
Yeah, so Roxanne Starfall Savant is 3 red-green, so a 5 mana commander. It's real beefy.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you create a tapped colorless artifact token named Meteorite, which is a real card that I actually pulled out of a pack when I was first playing a long time ago.
Meteorite is a rock that nobody plays.
It's 5 mana. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, so it gives you 1 for free because it enters, and it also costs 5. But what is Meteorite? Meteorite is a artifact that says when it enters the battlefield, deals 2 damage to any target, and it also has tap, add 1 mana of any color. She does give you that token tapped.
I don't think that matters if you go infinite, though.
No. And the second ability is whenever you tap an artifact token for mana, add 1 mana of any type that artifact token produced.
Treasure's crack for 2.
Treasure's crack for 2. Meteorite's crack for 2. And it's an infinite... Like, it gives you mana and an infinite mana outlet.
A food chain outlet, really.
Food chain outlet. But that's how you're doing infinite mana in these colors anyways.
Yeah.
It's Gruul.
So it's a food chain outlet commander. Gruul food chain.
Gruul food chain, but also, well, I guess it doesn't have a way. No, dude. It also works with Temur Sabertooth Dockside.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah, because you flicker the Dockside infinite times.
And then you flicker Roxanne infinite times.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So it does work there.
And Cloudstone Curio.
Yes, it makes those lines even easier because it makes the treasures crack for 2.
Yeah.
So it can help initiate Temur Sabertooth lines a lot easier. Oh man, ooh.
This is interesting. I'm actually starting to warm up to this more.
Yeah, no, it's Gruul and it's giving you more.
You know what?
Mana.
I'm taking apart my Atraxa food chain list. I might just turn it into this.
Dude, that's really cool. I feel like it's because you want red that much. You would rather play red than Esper.
Yeah, probably. Squee is just so much of a better card for food chain.
It's so good, and also like, I don't know. She's removal too, bro. Like
she's kind of removal. Yeah, whenever she enters or attacks, you get to shock something.
Kill a Tymna.
Kills the Tymna, kills the Bowmasters.
Kills the Bowmasters?
Kills an Oppo.
Dude, wait, is this...
Kills an Agila.
Wait, this might actually be really
kills
good.
Kills an Malcolm.
Wait. So I added this card to the list thinking it was... This might just be really, really good.
I don't know if it's really, really good. I think it's worth a look, and it's probably going to be played.
I think it's so interesting. I think
it's probably going to be played. It's probably going to take a tournament, and then people are going to be like, okay, I know what it's doing.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it is. You have other infinite mana outlets too. The only thing is you don't get the blue control for it. But
that's the issue. If this thing had blue, it'd be the best teamer list.
It's still a sick deck though.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go over to this one first. Ty Joaquin, Perfect Shot. So it's red and a white for a legendary creature, human mercenary, 2/3. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to a creature equal to that creature's toughness, draw a card. X, tap it. If a source you control will deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus X instead. So I have this list. This is another card that I built a list for.
Yeah.
I think it's sick. It's Boros card draw in the command zone, where if you hit something equal to its toughness, you draw a card. And that second ability is just an infinite mana outlet suit.
Your list with this is sick. Like, I saw some of the synergy cards, and
There's some really... So I think the coolest one is this combo with Chain of Plasma. So if you have any way of giving her indestructible, which there are a couple of lands that do that, as well as one of the white cards we looked at earlier, Final Showdown, I want to say. Final Showdown has the spree ability that says pay an extra 1, choose 2 creature you control, gains indestructible. So her with Chain of Plasma. So Chain of Plasma is 1 and a red. Chain of Plasma deals it's a sorcery that deals 3 damage to any target. Then that source's controller may discard a card if they do copy the spell. So you target her with it.
Yeah.
You draw a card because you're dealing 3 damage to her and her toughness is 3. Then you discard a card to copy the spell, target her again, draw another card, and you just cycle through your entire deck until you find what you need, fueling your graveyard. So you cycle until you find Breach, essentially. And then you Breach. Then with your Breach, you Lion's Eye until you get like 5 or 6 mana. Because by the time you get to that level, you're going to have a storm count high enough that you can just tap her for 6, cast a Grape Shot, storm count 8 or 9. Each of those copies of Grape Shot is now going to deal 7 damage because it's that plus X.
Right.
And then you can just cast your Grape Shot again because it's until end of turn. Whenever a source deals damage, it deals that much damage. So then you can keep Grape Shotting, which each copy deals like 7 damage, and you kill the table.
It's really good. I mean, I was looking at... A while back, I was looking at O'Hare Ash O'Neil as like burn in cEDH because like we don't really have a burn archetype that's super played.
This is gonna be the burn deck in cEDH.
And I think you're the pioneer of it, dude. I don't think anybody's talking about this.
I think some people are. I've seen some people talking about it, but I definitely think this is the Boros. This is the burn deck in cEDH because people have talked about some of the red decks being burned. This is the one because it gives you card draw and an outlet for win.
Yeah, dude. You might pill me so hard with this. I might want to join you in part of this. Because burn is one of my favorite things to be doing.
Burn is amazing. Burn is the Timmy or the what is it? Is it
the Timmy of Red?
The Timmy of Red for sure. And I mean, with Tai Joaquin, if you can make infinite mana and you activate her ability X equal to infinite, and then you cast anything like End the Festivities, which is 1 red, deal 1 damage to each creature your opponents control and each opponent. And so you just infinite and then cast that for 1 red and kill the table.
Yeah, you just feel like a freaking. This might be a really nerdy thing to say, but who fucking cares, dude? You feel like a freaking like flame god, dude. You're just blasting everybody.
And you're drawing cards while you're doing it. You're like, oh, bolt your Dranith. I'll draw a card.
Yeah. What did I draw? Another bird spell.
Yep. Yeah. This is great, dude. I love it.
What a fun
Flame
commander,
Slash. Dude, Flame Slash, anything with 4 toughness. Ooh. I think I might have to put Flame Slash in the list. I don't think it is in there. Let's talk about this. Let's look at this card real quick.
Yeah, so Satoru the Infiltrator. We have a buddy of ours that played Satoru, the old one, the OG Satoru. And he was really excited about this, wanted us to talk about it. So shout out to Tyler. You'll see him in our gameplay episode coming up next week. But this is Satoru the Infiltrator. He is a 1 blue and a black for a legendary creature, human ninja rogue, as if you needed ninja and rogue.
I know.
But okay. He's a menace. Whenever he
also has menace.
He has menace.
He's a menace.
He is. No, I said he has menace, but yes, he is a menace. Yeah. He is going to be a 2/3, and whenever he and or 1 or more other non-token creatures enter the battlefield under your control, if none of them were cast or no mana was spent to cast them, draw a card. So anytime you ninjutsu something and draw a card. That's what he does. That's just what he does. Yuriko's gonna want him.
Satoru's gonna want him.
OG Satoru's gonna want him. Our buddy's gonna want him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be.
So it just staples onto whenever you ninjutsu something, draw a card. Yes. Whenever you reanimate something, draw a card.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, there's literally no reason why you wouldn't play this card in any of those types of strategies there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what we've got now is Vraska Joins Up.
Yeah. It's
a black and a green for a legendary enchantment that says when Vraska Joins Up enters the battlefield, put a death touch counter on each creature you control. Whenever a legendary creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I think this sees playing Sisei.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering why you put this one on there because I'm like, this seems kind of bad. Like, Death Touch doesn't really.
I think it sees playing Sisei because you can grab it immediately and then it adds to the counter. Let's say to tutor something else up while giving you card draw.
Okay.
Because you're running a certain number of legendary creatures in that deck already.
Right.
You're just gonna this just staples on to be a draw card whenever they hit.
See, here's what I think, but. Isn't the version of Sisei that's doing the best right now Planeswalker Tutor Chain? Like, isn't that...
It is. But this is just saying, like, early game, you can grab this immediately. I was gonna say, since it's only 2 mana, and it adds to her power to tutor up the things you need to tutor up while giving you card draw.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't see it.
Because when it enters the battlefield, it puts a death catch counter on each creature you control, so they're gonna get through, and then you deal the damage. Draw a card.
Oh, on each creature. Okay, so that's pretty relevant.
Yeah.
That's gonna go through because on each creature you control.
So you say you have like a Sisei or Ragavan out. You tutor this out before combat.
Yep.
Get Death Touch on each of those. Now your Ragavan has Death Touch, which is kind of nice.
Wait, they all get Death Touch.
They all get Death Touch, and then you swing in, draw a couple cards.
Yeah. No, that I think.
Because it triggers on each legendary creature hitting.
Yeah, and it makes Sisei 2 bigger, right?
Yep.
That's good. That's real good.
Here, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, Rakdos the Muscle. So he is 2 black, red. For a legendary creature, Demon Mercenary. He's got Flying Trample. He's a 6/5. And whenever you sacrifice another creature, exile cards equal to its mana value from the top of target player's library. I didn't realize that. It's anyone's library. It's not just your own. There's so much like stealing and theft in this list. It's very on flavor. I'm into it for sure. So until your next end step, you may play those cards. And mana of any type can be spent to cast a spell. So there's the mana fixing again. So we're seeing this theme of like exiling cards from like libraries and using any mana to cast them.
Yeah.
But he's like, you can do it for your own library or your opponent's library, so that is quite cool. And then he says, sacrifice another creature. He gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. Activate only once each turn. So you can't go infinite with just him. You need another sack outlet to go infinite because you can only sacrifice one thing once each turn.
Yes. Now think about this.
Okay.
Does he go in the 98 of a Dargo plus black list? Because you're sacking Dargo infinitely anyways, this just becomes the payoff of you sack Dargo infinitely, exile your opponent's libraries.
I've been looking at Jund Dargo for faster Dargo lists. It's a win more card in that. It's
a win more card. Okay.
It's a win more card. You don't need it because you're already getting Razaketh and then you just win. You do not need this card. However, I think that he is a He's probably going to be the commander of your deck if you're playing this card. I don't know what he goes in if it's the 99 of something. I think 5 mana is too tall of an order to be playing in something like Jund Dargo, which is just trying to cast Dargo for 1 red over and over again and just enable a combo as fast as possible. In Jund Dargo, if I'm spending 5 mana, it's Nas. Yeah, that spell better be Nas, right? So it's win more in that instance. But I do think he's a cool commander. I think he's a very flexible commander in that you can take stuff from your opponent's library or your own, kind of like my Laughing Jasper Flint thing.
Which Laughing Jasper Flint probably works in this. Like, these two work together pretty well.
They probably do, yeah. I mean, I might put Rakdos in the 99 of my Laughing Jasper Flint deck, which honestly could be a meme deck because he is laughing. Maybe I'm laughing.
Maybe that's the meme.
Hopefully my opponents won't be laughing because hopefully
they're going to be laughing at you for how bad the deck is.
No, they're going to be laughing. They're not going to be laughing because they're going to be losing, hopefully.
Yeah.
But maybe the deck's trash. I don't know. I just think it's fun to gain advantage via your opponent's decks.
I think it's cool.
Building a crappy deck on purpose to go for someone's good deck.
Stealing your opponent's cards, I think, is pretty cool.
It is, especially if those. I don't think it works in casual though.
Like I don't play bad cards in my decks. I hope my opponents don't either.
Yeah, it is relying on your opponents a bit much, I'm sure. But yeah, Rakdos the Muscle, he's a cool card.
He's a cool card.
I think he's sweet.
I think this card is pretty sweet too. It's Selvala Eager Trailblazer.
Yes.
Ugh. It's 2 green and a white for a legendary creature, Elf Scout. That's a 4/5. It has Vigilance, and whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. She also has tap, choose a color, add 1 mana of that color for each different power among creatures you control. So this is a tapper for a bunch of mana, but it also goes infinite with Emil and any creature that ETBs, untapped creatures you control or target creature you control.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have her, which is 4 power, Emil, the untap, which is 3, the untapper, which hopefully is a different power, and then your 1/1 you get whenever you cast one of those creatures.
Yeah. And the 1/1s can also help you out in making...
yeah, 1/1s also can help you out in changing powers around to make sure you're set.
To make sure you get that,
and then you just make infinite mana with her and the untapper, and then hopefully you have something else to flicker with Emil that just can go off, maybe a land, maybe something else.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I think it's one of the better Selesnya combo commanders, because I don't think Selesnya has a lot of good combo commanders.
I think you're still running stacks in this list, though.
Yeah, no, that's the problem with stacks, is that it doesn't have the combo to finish out the game. Like Elevir is stacks,
Elevir's
but
beats.
It's beats, and it draws cards for more beats. But I feel like a combo can be really clean, and it's nice to have a combo option in those colors rather than just beat down.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Lava Spur Boots.
This one we definitely need to talk about, at least definitely for the casuals at the very least.
Yeah, and also,
cEDH, I think this he's playing Paco and Haldan.
Okay, I want to hear about that in a second, but also just to speak to the casual crowd too, like both of us started playing casual. Like we still play casual sometimes.
We still play casual. I just played that today actually.
Yeah. So even though we're a cEDH channel, we're gonna be mentioning some casual cards, things that we're excited to see, and I'm personally excited to see Lava Spur Boots because it's Swiftfoot boots for 2/3 of the cost.
Yeah. So
kind of, right?
It's one colorless for an artifact equipment that says equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste and ward 1 and has equip 1.
Yeah.
It's probably it's your alternate Swiftfoot boots. In certain decks, I know that you can't run lightning greaves and you have to run Swiftfoot boots. Like I have a buff spell storm deck that you can't run lightning greaves because you're trying to target your own creatures. So you have to run Swiftfoot boots to protect from opponent stuff.
Yeah, and maybe in casual haste matters more anyways because
+1/+0 and haste and ward 1 is pretty good for just a 1-drop equipment that equips for 1.
And in casual decks, they run board wipes. They don't run single target removal, like ever. At least I don't see
+1/+0 and haste is really good. Now this is something people have been talking about since this one was one of the first spoilers.
We thought they were done with swords, bro. We thought they made all the swords, dude.
I don't know, man. They gotta finish that Sword of Dungeons and Dragons line now.
Oh,
I think this is part of the Dungeons and Dragons line.
that's your headcanon. I love the name though.
So what is this?
This is the Sword of Capitalism. It's 3 mana. No, I'm just kidding. It's the Sword of Wealth and Power. It might as well be Sword of Capitalism. Yeah, pretty much. The Sword of Wealth and Power. It's a 3 mana artifact equipment that says equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from instants and from sorceries. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. When you cast an instant, or when you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy.
And it has equipped 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like all the rest of the other swords do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives you protection from instants and sorceries, which
really good. Protection from basically every removal spell.
Every single target removal spell. That's so
it's
ridiculous, bro.
It's pretty ridiculous. I will say swords don't really see play except for in stuff like Slicer.
Arden Crom, bro.
Dude, you just have to build Arden Crom.
I think what this set is putting me on is Arden Crom.
I think you should build Arden Crom.
I really want to. Like
Sword of Wealth and Power.
I love equipment so much, and I really want to play them in cEDH.
Definitely.
You want to know what's really funny? Maybe our friend has a deck where Ragavan is the commander, and he runs all the swords.
This definitely sees.
Yeah, he's playing Ragavan. That's a funny thing to say because I don't feel like anyone else plays Ragavan but him. But
I think there is actually a lot of. I've seen a couple of them.
Really?
Ragavans with swords. Yeah.
Just where Ragavan's the commander.
I think Ragavan, Slicer, any of those commanders that are running like all the swords or a lot of the swords, Arden Crom. For sure.
Sweet. Do we have any more cards? Is that it?
That is it. That is all the cards that we have pulled out that we thought were pretty cool from this set and that we wanted to share with you guys. I think we've gone over everything that we would potentially see play in cEDH, as well as some of the casual cards we thought were really cool. So thank you for watching, and I'm glad you guys were able to be here with us.
Yeah, be sure to follow us on Instagram,
Spotify. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Well, subscribe to our channel, like this video. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Take care. Come on in and sit on down. There's plenty of room all around. Just bust out your cards and take a seat. Come on and play some cEDH with me. Yeah. Come on in and sit on down. There's plenty of room all around. Just bust out your cards and take a seat. Come on and play some cEDH with me. Yeah. This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
It's high noon, bro. It's high noon.
It's high noon. Nobody's casting spells this turn.
Oh.
You about to take 5 damage, boy.
I want to say it's the final, but it's just like, it's the
Final.
final.
Dude, I was thinking about that. It's the final showdown. Oh, but it's like country where it's like, it's the final showdown. On a fucking banjo. We gotta put some of this in.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to. It's time to shoot the sheriff.
I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy. Right, you have a southern draw in all of these cards right here. You got a claim jumper, you got high noon, you got final showdown, bovine intervention. It's too good.
We're introducing you to the Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
The Outlaws of Thunder Junction. This year's the wildest ride in the wilderness. Damn. That's good.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
It's too good. We gotta put some of that shit in there.
We're working on our pest control now.
We got our whole team right here. We got Rakdos the Muscle. We got Vrask.
We got Marchesa, the dealer of death. Don't be cheating in front of her.
We got laughing Jasper Flint. You won't be laughing once he hits you in the face with
when he hits you in the face with his Jasper Flint, he be jaspering and flinting all over you. What else do we have in this set that's just funny, the names? Oh my god. Let's see.
Wait, no, go up to the Outlaws.
Oh yeah. Yeah, go up to the top.
This is so much gas. Okay.
We got Oko the ringleader.
Which we didn't talk about because he's trash. We got Vraska the silencer.
We got Annie Flash the veteran.
We got Kellen the kid. We got Rakdos the muscle.
We got Gisa the hellraiser.
Tiny Bones the pickpocket.
Geralt the flesh rat.
The flesh. I don't like that. I don't like Geralt the